Hello and good evening. My name is John, and I'm being attacked by a cat, but I am playing Asphyxia, which I can only assume is her. Her hands seem really tiny. Like, really tiny. Anyway, this is part of my Steam cleaning series where I play through all the games in my Steam library, including ones that I have no idea what they are. So, based on the name alone here, this is an underwater adventure, and she's Ophelia? I mean, I'm thinking of Ophelia Drown. I don't know. Preferences. No, I don't have preferences. Start. Oh, it's a visual novel. Alexandria. Ah, how kind of you to finally grace us with your presence, Miss Coleridge. Samantha made a vague murmur of assent as she slunk out onto the coach, head bowed, trying to... Oh, she's not actually saying that. Trying to avoid the eyes of Pierre. How long had they been waiting for her, anyway? Miss Pope's tone didn't sound as though it had been hours upon hours, but Samantha knew that couldn't be right. Sure, she had woken up a little late, tried 20 minutes late, but she had dressed as quickly as she could, to the point where it caused her general physical harm. It was all because of her socks. It was almost always because of her socks. She's 1 year old and hates socks. The stupid things were a lethal hazard. Whilst teetering on her left foot, trying to pull up one sock over her right knee, Samantha had slipped and lost her balance, cracking her head against the side of her bed as she fell to the floor. Ooh. Also, socks that go over your knees are more like leggings. Stupid socks. They caused her injury more times than she could count. Why had she bothered to get out of bed at all? That's a question we all could ask. Being scolded by her least favorite teacher, all while suffering from the after effects of blunt-force trauma, was not the best way to start the day. It was a shame. She'd been looking forward to this trip for a while, too. About as much as she'd been able to look forward to anything these days. Miss Alexandra speaking again. Her mouth is open. Miss Coleridge, what are you dawdling for? Well, her mouth is not open. You've already wasted enough of our time. We are on a tight schedule. I know you young girls enjoy being the center of attention, but don't you think you've made enough of a spectacle of yourself as it is? Wait, young girls? So she's older than her. Okay. Yes, miss. I'm sorry. And again with the apologies. Are you Canadian? You always apologize. As if it means anything when you do it so often. I'm sorry? You're just proving my point. Samantha stared resolutely at the floor. Are they in a bus? She didn't want Miss Pope to know she was blushing. She didn't want to give her the satisfaction. It was strange just how much hatred Miss Pope was capable of exuding, particularly given she was so small. How could a person so tiny, almost elfin in their appearance, possess so much contempt towards their fellow man, or woman in this situation? But maybe that was the reason why Miss Pope was so particularly grumpy. Samantha had suspected for a while now that her teacher had a chip on her shoulder about her child's appearance. The chip so large, it was nearing the size of the Amazon rainforest. Samantha, it's getting smaller every year, so clearly her chip's getting better. Samantha had never asked because she knew doing so would be tantamount to suicide, but she got the feeling Miss Pope had been bullied a lot as a child. Sorry, there's a cat attacking me off screen. I will try not to be late anymore. Rather, I have been trying. Clearly not been trying hard enough. Trying is not particularly useful if it does not yield any results. Yes, miss. Miss Pope sighed. I do not say these things for fun, you know. Lecturing you on the same things day after day gets incredibly tedious. I have no desire to stand around berating a girl who has no capacity or capability of changing. Yes, miss. Now hurry up and take your seat. Yes, miss. I'm sorry. And I really do wish you would stop apologizing so much. Yes, miss. And with that, her voice barely more than a whisper, Samantha brushed past Miss Pope to search for her seat. There are dozens of empty seats, it doesn't really matter. She could feel the eyes of her classmate boring into the back of her as she wandered down the coach. But there is no one there, so they're all imaginary. They were all talking amongst themselves, their voices mingled together like twittering starlings. Samantha was sure they were laughing at her. They always did. Granted, she did give them a lot of material to laugh at, so she did not exactly fault them for it, but being the constant butt of everyone's joke did become rather tedious after a while. Although Samantha usually took people's jibs in good faith, she really wasn't in the mood for it. Not today. Not in front of her. Lillian. Well, hello, Lillian. A blonde girl, a few months Samantha's senior, she was sitting in the front of the coach, her hair tied up, as per usual. Unlike Samantha's, Lillian's uniform was never crumpled, ceased, or wrinkled, and she always remembered the top button of her blouse. Okay, so, I'm not a fashion critic, but top button of her blouse does not have any buttons. Therefore, this statement means nothing because she has no buttons! Lillian's legs, were demurely crossed, her tights devoid of holes or ladders. Holes or ladders? Ladders? I'm trying to think of what she would do with a ladder on someone's legs, but that sounds... no. Her hands, fingernails cut carefully, 10 perfect little crescent moves, resting on her knees. Lillian turned her head, her blonde hair shifting over her shoulder, and, for a few brief moments, her eyes met Samantha's. Samantha's flushed, her cheeks turned deep red, and she turned away. She hadn't been staring, had she? She hoped she hadn't been staring. We are staring because there's no animation. When it came to Lillian, Samantha always stared. She couldn't help it. There was no denying it, even though she often tried to. Lillian really was beautiful. Though Samantha didn't want to look at Lillian, didn't want to even acknowledge her presence, she couldn't help herself. Whenever Lillian's in Samantha's vicinity, Samantha's eyes sought her out, without her brain's consent, even though the end result was inevitable. The brief moment where their gazes crossed, then blushing and stammering, the embarrassed looked away. Alexander. Miss Coleridge, I will not ask you again. Will you please find your seat, or were you hoping to keep us all waiting until next Christmas? Which could be 1 day or 365 days, depending on when this game is set. Samantha jumped. Miss Pope's voice was cold, and it made her hairs at the back of her neck stand up on edge. No, miss. I'm sorry. Head hanging, feet shuffling, she kindled onward, feeling much like a criminal being led to the gallows. Honestly, Miss Pope sighed, running one hand through her hair. I don't even touch geography. Teach geography. I don't touch geography either. When I had to give up my precious weekend to supervise this trip is beyond me. Maybe this is some kind of divine punishment. For once, Samantha agreed wholeheartedly with her sour-faced English teacher. Having Miss Pope act as superior for a geography field trip was really a punishment. Not even Dante couldn't conceive of it. I'm assuming they mean the devil and not like another character we'll meet later. Roberta. Hey, Sam. Over here. Samantha found herself being waved over by her close friend Roberta, who also has long blonde hair, and her blouse with buttons is also buttoned all the way up. Roberta, the seat next to her was empty. She must have been saving her, even though Samantha had arrived almost half an hour late. Saving a seat for so long showed dedication, or maybe it showed that, after 6 years of friendship, Roberta knew Samantha well enough to realize she was almost always late for everything. Either way, Samantha was touched. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. It's no problem. Roberta surveyed her friend, a small frown on her face. Did you have a rough night? You can tell? The pegs in your eyes look awful. Are they really that obvious? I was playing Halo all night. They really are. You'd have to be blind not to spot them. I cannot spot them. Thanks. And I tried so hard to hide them, too. Sigh. I guess I did a pretty lousy job. Samantha never was very good at makeup, which is why she rarely bothered. She often wondered if her lack of makeup know-how was her mother's fault. Wasn't it the job of the mother to teach her daughter all the tricks of trade when it comes to lipstick, eyeliner, eyeshadow? Only if you follow the patriarchy! But Samantha's mother never had the time. She was too busy running the military. Much, much too busy to spend time with her daughter. Do you want to borrow any of my makeup? No, it's alright. I think it's too early in the morning for that. Just like the mimosas we had. Samantha couldn't apply eyeliner worth a damn standing before a full-length mirror, so the prospect of her being able to do so successfully on a moving bus with only Roberta's handheld compact for reference was laughable. Oh well. Suit yourself. You can tell me if you change your mind, though. By the way, you cut your hair last night, didn't you? Oh, yeah, I did. Samantha figured a lock of her newly shortened hair, twisting it about one finger. This had been a mistake. Although her hair was not short, just past her shoulders, it was still too short for comfort, and she couldn't hide it behind as successfully as she once had been able to. It left her feeling unpleasantly exposed, which only amplified the feeling of her fellow classmates' desertive stares. Samantha never intended to cut her hair this short. She hadn't intended to cut it at all, not until yesterday, when she fell into the thresher. Looking back on it, she hadn't really been in her right mind. Maybe she should have slept on it. Do you think it looks nice? It's different, I'll say that much. I'll take that as a no, then. It's not no, exactly, it's just, Roberta hemmed and hawed judiciously, coiling a strand of her own hair around one of her fingers. It looks really funny. The ends are all different lengths, so it kinda does look bad. Well, it's alright. You don't need to try and spare my feelings. Even if you don't tell me it looks bad, I'm sure someone else will at some point. I'd rather hear from a friend first. It wouldn't look so bad if you had the ends straightened out, I suppose. At the moment, I just struggle to understand why. Why what? Why'd you cut yourself? Whoa, okay. Oh, cut it yourself. Whew. There are plenty of people you can pay to do that, proper professionals. And if you really absolutely had to do it yourself, couldn't you have gone to a salon afterwards so they could trim it for you? Of course, Roberta would offer a sensible solution. Roberta always offers sensible solutions. I suppose that would make sense, yes. I didn't really think it through. You've always been impulsive, haven't you? It wasn't impulse, not really. I was thinking about cutting it for a while. Yesterday it just seemed like the right time. It seemed like the right time. Even though you knew you were going on our geography field trip today? That you were going to be sitting on a coach filled with your peers, all of whom would be judging you for hours? Well, you know I enjoy being the center of attention, my dear Roberta. Miss Pope said it herself. Doesn't that seem characteristic of one as vain as I am? Samantha tried to rebuff Roberta's query with a dry quip, but Roberta knew Samantha too well to be taken in. Rather than smiling, Samantha had hoped she instead frowned, her eyebrows furrowing. I get the feeling there's something you're not telling me. Well, I don't need to tell you everything. You're not my mother, who has no time for me. Alright, fine. I'll be quiet. You don't need me to bite your head off, though. I was only offering my opinion, which you did ask for, don't forget. Samantha let her head hang, her fringe, the only part of her hair untouched by her merciless assault last night, obscuring her eyes. I know. I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to snap at you. I'm just tired. Roberta sniffed. Sometimes I think you don't appreciate just how much I have to put up with, Sam. I know. I'm sorry. No one else would be foolish enough to open their door to you at 4 in the morning, you know? Especially not when you're drunk, convinced you're dying of brain tumor because your teeth hurt. I'm aware of that, Bobby. But you are exaggerating. That only happened once. It was one time out of many. If it isn't a pain in your teeth, it's a pain in your head, a pain in your ear, a pain in your butt, a pain in your side, a pain in your stomach. If you actually suffer from all those afflictions you claim you have, you'd be dead by now. Maybe I would be happier there. Whoa, Samantha, come on now. No. No what? Don't ever think about it. Yeah, don't ever talk about it. The thought makes you unhappy? The thought makes me angry. You mean you wouldn't miss me if I died? I never said I wouldn't miss you, but I would be annoyed with you. I didn't put this much effort into being your friend all these years for you to go and kill yourself. It would be incredibly rude of you. This has gotten really dark. Samantha couldn't help but smile, even though Roberta's words were not exactly complimentary. I apologize. I'll try not to be selfish in the future. Good. I've invested too much into our friendship for you to go throw it all away. I'm just trying to look out for you, Sam. You need someone to take care of you, and I don't mind helping, but I wish you would appreciate me a little bit more. I don't like this codependent relationship. I do appreciate you, Bobby. Are you sure? I'm sure. Signed in blood. I swear on it. Scouts on me. Roberta shook her head, bemused. You've never been a Girl Scout, or a Girl's Guide. Well, most people swear on their mother's life, but I haven't seen her in so long, she may as well be dead for all I care. Whoa! How morbid! You shouldn't speak about your mother like that. Anybody wouldn't if she ever bothered to speak to me at all. Well, I suppose that will do. For the moment, anyway. Boop! Samantha stretched, bringing her arms up above her head. The carrier bag she held in her right hand rustled, the cans inside clinking together. She had dozed intermittently on the coach, her eyes flickering up every time the vehicle went over a bump in the road, and she now felt even sleepier than she had done before. Samantha didn't like taking naps, even though she often felt tired these days. They never made her feel any better. As such, she vowed herself that she was going to rectify this problem, if not for her own sake, then for Roberta's. She couldn't imagine her friend was unhappy about being used as a pillow. When the bus stopped at a service station, Samantha first port of call had been a small shop with the building, within the building, namely the aisle that sold energy drinks. She bought 4 or 5 cans of some random drink. She never had a brand that before, but it was decorated in tiger print, so it must have been effective, right? And now she was making her way back to the coach. The sky above her head was overcast, festooned with gray clouds. Though the sky seemed to promise rain, the air was cool and crisp. With a sharp contrast, the air inside the coach was as stuffy and oppressive, and the windows didn't work. They had been filtered through almost 30 million months upon 30 miles, millions upon millions of times. The outside world felt and smelt far cleaner. It was refreshing. Samantha had no real desire to step back on the coach again. It felt supremely self-defeating, like bricking oneself up behind a wall. Unfortunately, she didn't have much of a choice. With resigned sighs, Samantha stepped back onto the coach. Instantly, she was greeted by rows of red chairs lined up neatly beside one another, like the unusually garnished graves in a graveyard. Samantha was not fond of coaches. She found their movements lurching and unpredictable, and she hated being confined within them. Just how much further did they have to go, anyway? Samantha thought to ask the jar, but he wasn't there. In fact, after scanning the coach, Samantha discovered she was one of the only people there. A couple of girls sat in the middle of the coach, both asleep. Samantha could spy a familiar splash of bright blue hair on her left, but that was it. And speaking of bright blue hair, Samantha tensed just how many other people at St. Mary's had such an outlandish hair color anyway. Dyed, obviously. It can only be one person. Tabitha De Quincey, known to most girls at St. Mary as De Quincey, was seated near the front of the coach, hunched over herself so her back made an arch. Why is she crying? She was holding something in both hands. Samantha noticed her shoulders were shaking. Upon further investigation, Samantha discovered with no small amount of alarm that De Quincey was crying. She could not see the girl's face, but she could hear her face. Small, broken sobs emitted from her mouth, even though it seemed she was trying as hard as possible to rein them in. Samantha's grip at her carrier bag tightened. The plastic cracked. What should she do? She still had forgotten what occurred between herself and De Quincey a couple months ago, and as close as the two girls had once been, Samantha had been trying to best to avoid De Quincey ever since that day. Should she continue to uphold the resolution, or even now? She was the only person right now who knew De Quincey was crying, so did that make it her responsibility? What if something bad happened to that girl? The sudden death of a family member, a close friend, a beloved childhood pet. Samantha dithered uncomfortably, unsure. Even though De Quincey was in tears, it had nothing to do with her. Cold! She did not owe De Quincey anything, even though she had, Samantha reflected with a twinge of guilt, borrowed all that money from her last term. Moreover, she may have been sobbing with something private, something she did not want others to know about. Asking her about it could be very well make the matter worse. De Quincey was so lost in the morning she not even know Samantha was there, staring. Samantha could easily slip past her back in her own seat without ever even knowing Samantha had seen her. It was perfect. It was perfect. So why weren't her feet moving? What would her conscience let her know the girl who was her friend? Approach De Quincey. De Quincey? Samantha approached the girl slowly, with the same hesitance one would use if they were dealing with a rabid dog. That's kind of rude. Just what was she expecting anyway? Did she think De Quincey was going to bite her? The other girl might have been somewhat shameless, but not even she would have done something that outrageous. Not while she was sober, anyway. How old are these kids? They look to be like 4. Okay, she doesn't look like she's 4, but she kind of does. Not while she was sober. Anyway, drunk, on the other hand. No. Samantha did not want to think about that. She was not thinking about that. De Quincey lifted her head, blinking up at Samantha. Her eyes red and puffy, swollen from tears, and she looked very pitiful. Very pitiful. Samantha found she could not remain anxious for too long. What did she have to be afraid of, really? De Quincey looked like a brat. She looked even more miserable than Samantha had felt these last 3 months, which was quite an achievement. Sam, you finally speaking to me after all this time? I suppose I am. I couldn't just ignore you, not when you look so miserable. It would be quite unforgivable, I think. Even though Samantha had, for a few moments, been pondering whether she should do that exactly, she didn't tell De Quincey that, though. She didn't need to know. Sam, oh Sam, and I thought you would never speak to me again. You really are a sweetheart after all. Perhaps. Perhaps not. I find it hard to keep grudges. They all seem so pointless. They just make people unhappy. That's true. I've been feeling quite bad over what I did. I know I should not have done it. I'm just impulsive, I suppose. De Quincey smiled shakily through her tears, which were still dripping down her cheeks, and sniffed. She wiped her eyes with the back of her arm, perhaps attempting to make herself more presentable, and sat up a little straighter. So, if you don't mind me asking, the subject of the matter is not too delicate for you to discuss. Why are you crying? Did something bad happen? Something bad, huh? I guess you could say that. It was pretty bad. What was it? It's hard to explain. I ate the tacos at the gas station. I don't know if you would understand. Maybe no one would. Maybe not. We all agree with different manners. But if there's anything I could do to help, do not hesitate to ask. I can hardly leave you when you look so unhappy. Thanks. Well, De Quincey gave Samantha a weird, watery smile and her lower lip trembled. I guess there's no way to deal with such a thing. The death of a loved one is always painful. It hurts. Though I know it's silly, it really does hurt. Samantha's eyes widened. So was as she thought. De Quincey really had lost a loved one, and recently too, by the sounds of it. Did she just find out on the bus? Samantha was no stranger to bereavement. Her own father had died when she was only 7 years old, and it was a memory that stayed with her, following her from place to place, more persistently than her own shadow. She could remember sitting on the parish church of Ottery St. Mary, with its vaulted ceiling and stone arches, listening to the vicar as he conducted his service. Samantha had grown restless and started to gnaw at her fingertips during the vicar's speech, nibbling them down to stubs. Her mother had noticed and been less than impressed. Through her tears, her mother had taken hold of Samantha's hand, crushing Samantha between her own, a little too much strength, and had hissed at her just to sit still and listen. That had stopped. Samantha hadn't been fidgeting out of callous carelessness. She had loved her father. She still loved him, even now, even though he was dead. She had been fidgeting because she was anxious, and she had been sad, and she had been trying to distract herself from her own melancholy thoughts, which were growing more and more oppressive by the second. But her mother did not know that. Her mother never knew that. She had never been able to understand how Samantha thought. Samantha did not want to be like her mother, curt and inconsiderate. Instead, she wanted to be kind and caring. Maybe that's why she had, despite her own worries, chosen to pause and speak to De Quincey. Now she had committed herself, she could not just turn away and leave. I really am sorry for your loss, Tabitha. When did you hear the news? Oh, it was fairly recent. Only a few minutes ago, actually. So, cell phones? A few minutes? Samantha frowned. What did De Quincey mean by that? Had one of her family members sent a text message? Okay, so cell phones. That must have been it. That sounded quite like a harsh way to break the news over a recent death, though. Technology was convenient, but it could be so impersonal. That's right. It was sudden, too. I mean, I really got a few bad endings. But I really thought I could read this. Is she playing a game? I was so convinced. Though I made all the correct choices, but in the end, it still didn't work. Hannah still died. My cute little Hannah. Why must be the world so cruel? Samantha blinked. Now, for the first time, she was beginning to wonder whether she had been laboring under the misappreciation. What do you mean, bad endings? I don't quite understand. I thought you wouldn't. That's what I said. People don't play these kind of games very much. They're pretty obscure. They're really, really good ones, though. Okay, so clearly we have some sort of visual novel inception here. A game? You were crying over a game? That's right. Look. De Quincey proffered? Proffered. Oh. The plastic object she was holding in her hands to Samantha. Samantha took it. She had not known what it was at first, being most forthcoming on Quincy's tear-stained face than she had been holding, but now, all at once, she subtly understood. It was a handheld game console. On the screen displayed an image of a cute girl. Her eyes were closed and she was lying in the hospital bed, her black hair fanning across her pillow. There was text at the bottom of the screen, perhaps to explain what's happening in the scene. Samantha wasn't sure. She did not play many games other than her fantasy RPGs, and that was only occasionally because she liked the music and the fantastical environments. Lillian was far better at these than she was, particularly during the boss battles. Samantha's fingers started to shake. So the whole time she'd been comforting Quincy, not over the death of a friend or family, but over the death of a girl called Hannah. A girl who did not exist, never had, and never would. Well, now she felt like an idiot. De Quincy smiled up at Samantha, her head tilted to one side. The worst thing was, there was not a trace of ill intent in De Quincy's face. Her expression was that of complete innocence. It was clear she had not been intending to trick Samantha. Samantha had simply jumped to the conclusion and had managed to make a fool out of herself. That always happened. Hey, do you mind if I borrow the game from you? Do you want to borrow this game after I'm done? It's really emotional. I cried loads even though this is my third playthrough. Hannah's death scene gets me every single time. But she isn't real. Hannah might be real if you want to go by this very definition, but she exists within my heart. In the universe of that game, I am Takima, and I really am her big brother. I must protect Hannah no matter what. I'd even give my life for her if necessary. That's how much I love her. You know what? Samantha smiled and strained a smile and handed the console back to Quincy. Movements were stiff as if the bones had turned into stone. I think I'll pass. It's all the same to you. I'm gonna go back to my seat now. Good luck with the rest of your game. Ah, Sam, wait up. De Quincy called out Sam was retreating back, but it was already too late. The tentative peace which had blossomed between the girls had already met with his eyes at the hand of a sudden winter snowstorm. Boop! Hey, Sam! Sam! Samantha frowned. She could see Roberta opening and closing her mouth just like a fish, but she couldn't hear what she was saying. Samantha's ear was filled with music, and everything else was muffled. Jeez! Roberta sighed, and with one swing reached forward and plucked one of the buds out of Samantha's ears. Ah! Samantha blinked as if waking from a long dream, her lashes trembling. Hello, Bobby. What is it? You should know. If I knew, I wouldn't be asking. Sigh. All right, Miss Clever Cogs. Turn the volume down already. I don't want to spend the whole journey with your weird, dramatic chanting playing in the background. Oh, I'm sorry. Samantha fished her music player out of her pocket and clicked a few buttons. She always listened to music at full volume. It was a bad habit, like biting her fingernails and cracking her wrists, one that she had never been able to shake, no matter how often Roberta scolded her. Some people listen to music to help them concentrate on boring tasks, but Samantha did precisely the opposite. She listened to music loud and impressive to stop concentrating, so she could disengage from all her worries. And Samantha had a lot of worries. Honestly, you go deaf one of these days, you only have yourself to blame. Yes, Roberta. Can't you even understand half the music you listen to anyway? Samantha smiled sheepishly, pressing her two index together as she pondered the reply. I know a few words here and there. It's mostly death metal, so my German isn't that bad. However, it wasn't at the level that she would have been able to go to Germany and ask for direction or order food. The few phrases Samantha had picked up after listening to all the German folk metal weren't particularly useful. Mostly they were overwrought expressions of deep dramatic angst. Then again, that suited Samantha perfectly. I don't really get it. Why is it always German? It's the only music you ever listened to. I'm not entirely sure. I just think it sounds passionate. The German language is one of the most beautiful languages, so it makes sense. You would think that. You can't understand what they're saying, after all. I suppose so. Maybe I'm just imposing my own meaning onto the lyrics, but is that really such a bad thing? People do that all the time. Isn't the simple act of having a conversation all about deriving your own interpretations of other people's words? That's pretty deep for 9:30 in the morning, isn't it? I apologize. Maybe I woke myself a little too efficiently. Samantha held up a half-empty can of Tiger Print energy drink, which had been resting between her thighs for the last 10 minutes or so. Roberta eyed the now lukewarm can with an untrusting eye. Just how many of those have you had, anyway? In the last half hour? I think this is my third. Your third? That's right. Is there anything wrong with that? Roberta stared. Maybe she should have followed Samantha when they stopped at the service station a while back. Samantha obviously couldn't be trusted to make decisions of her own. So I'm not quite sure the rules of visual novels, and I'm going to take a break here because I'm not a visual novel player, but we are now in Roberta's head instead of Samantha's head. So, is this a third-person game, or is first-person, like, not first-person and further-person as in, like, pew-pew camera angle, but is this authored from a third-person where we're getting inside the head of both these characters, or just Samantha? Like, this is the first time we've jumped brains, and it's disjointing at least a little bit to have this now be the rule set. Stuff like that isn't good for you, you know? Especially not in such large doses. You'll make yourself sick and you'll rot your teeth. Maybe, but it did help wake me up, didn't it? And you wonder why your stomach hurts so often. You're poisoning your body. That's what Lillian says too. Or said, rather, because Lillian did not speak to her anymore. No. Didn't we just talk to Lillian? Samantha winced as if she had been stung. For some reason, Roberta, too, looked disgruntled, more than she had done when she had been berating Sam for her caffeine addiction. What does Lillian have to do with anything? I just thought, since she always told me off, maybe I should quit. Oh, so you listen to what Lillian said, but you won't listen to me? Is that what you're saying? Samantha's grip around the can of drink tightened. It crumpled under her fingers, leaving indents on either side. You do know Lillian has no interest in speaking to you again, don't you? It doesn't matter what you say or do now. She doesn't care. I know that, but she means a lot to me. And I never said that, Bobby. You're jumping to conclusions. Samantha bit down on her lower lip. How could she blame herself if she did not fully understand what she meant either? Apologize. I'm sorry, Roberta. I do value you, really. You have a funny way of showing it. It's difficult to believe such assertions when you so constantly do and say things and believe quite the contrary. I know that. I realize that I'm not the best friend. I'm fickle and flighty, and I either demand too much of your attention or want none of it at all. I'm not particularly good at expressing myself, and when I try to explain how I feel, the words come out jumbled up as though they were spoken by someone else. I really am sorry if I said or did anything to upset you. You know. Samantha's fingers curled in a fist, taking handfuls of fabric from her skirt with them. Lillian is my friend. Or was, rather. Samantha winced, thinking about her friendship with Lillian in the past tense as opposed to present, which was still upsetting even now. But you are my friend too. Please forgive me. I know you have to put up with a whole lot, and I realize it can be incredibly annoying. You really can. You're the most annoying person that there is. I know. It's the only area I excel at, really. Roberta tried to remain aloof, but she could not. Samantha's wide comment slipped through the crack in her armor, and, unbidden, raised a small smile to her lips. Huh. Well, they do say if you hate it, if you have it, you should flaunt it. In this case, however, I would not recommend it. I'll do my best, but I have precious little else to flaunt. In the end, maybe being annoying really was the only talent she had. Now, that was a depressing thought. Oh, when did they get to the fireworks factory? De Quincy. I'm finally free. Samantha couldn't help but note that De Quincy sounded a great more chipper than she had looked on the coach earlier. De Quincy's smile was wide, her eyes sparkling. It seemed she had already recovered from poor Hannah's untimely death. Samantha sighed. Why had she assumed there was something gravely wrong with De Quincy anyway? Lillian was right. She really did have a morbid imagination. Always assuming the worst like that. Alexander. Alright, De Quincy. Don't go running off on your own. I'm the teacher, not a shepherd. I have no desire to hunt down any errant student who may stray from my flock. Yes, miss. And the same goes for the rest of you. Miss Pope turned to face the congregation of St. Mary's students, her hands on her hips. If any of you get lost, I'm not going to trouble myself over it. You are not in primary school anymore. You are old enough now to take some responsibility for your actions. Yes, miss. A dull chorus of voices answered back, fronted by De Quincy. Why did she sound so cheerful? Was it because she had an excuse to hang around Lillian for 2 whole days and maybe even shocked Scandler? See her in her pajamas? De Quincy had always loved Lillian. She was borderline obsessed, and that border was growing thinner and thinner with each passing day. Although Samantha knew Lillian did not particularly care for De Quincy, Lillian did not particularly care for anyone save her younger brother, it still stung. She couldn't help but feel jealous. Oh, right, that's Lillian. Why was De Quincy always allowed to link arms with Lillian anyway? Maybe because they're kissing? At least the unimpressed look on Lillian's face was so evident even Samantha, standing so far away, was able to spot it. Though Samantha couldn't hear what Lillian was saying, she saw the blonde girl shake Quincy away, as one would remove a spider from the sleeve of their cardigan. Lillian's efforts, however, were in vain. As soon as she managed to free herself from Quincy, the girl started clinging to her arm again like a second skin. Why are you so cold, Lillian? I thought we were friends. Mr. Quincy. Quincy jumped. Yes? What is it, miss? Far from me to criticize your youthful zeal, but I feel I might be distracting some of your classmates. Would you please keep your hands to yourself? Quincy's cheek turned light pink. She smiled bashfully and dug the tip of her shoe into the ground, tracing semicircles into the dirt. Haha, yes, miss. Miss Pope's lecture to Quincy on her poor conduct. Lillian took this as an opportunity to tangle her arms to Quincy and walk away. And while we're on the subject, something else is bothering me. Why do you never button up your shirt? Oh, the outer shirt. Well, I suppose because I'm opposed to the fascist system that keeping all of us students squashed underfoot. I want to show everyone I'm not just another cog in the machine, you know? While I applaud your effort, the school is not, as many teachers try to tell you, a place for young people to go to nurture their What? I applaud your school is not a place young people go to nurture their unique talents. That should be what school is. It's a place where young people are sent against their will so they can learn how to follow orders and do what they're told. That's a terrible school. Anyone who informs you otherwise is a liar. Wow. Forgive me if I'm being rude, but you sound a little bit bitter, miss. I sound bitter because I am. Like you, De Quincy, I thought when I was young and foolish that I was an individual and should therefore be allowed to express myself as such. I even dabbled in poetry. Can you imagine it? Poetry. Well, you are an English teacher. Indeed. And you know what kind of people become English teachers? De Quincy pondered, an awkward smile on her face. The kind of people who aspire to become published authors or poets but fail to achieve their goals? Exactly. When I entered the working world, I became far more cynical. Come to school, you do your exams, get results, and boost our school's reputation. The teachers who care about their students beyond what is written on a few slips of paper are few and far between. Well, if you only care about results, how I dress shouldn't matter, should it? Nice try, De Quincy, but that's going to cut it with me. You might be smart, but that doesn't amount to much when you only show up to half your lessons. Gosh darn it. Perhaps I could overlook your flagrant misconduct if you apply yourself more seriously. But as it is, I'll have to ask you to button up your shirt. Yes, miss. And you can do something about your hair in the future? The color is hardly school regulation. But it took me 3 hours to dye it this color. It'll take less than 3 minutes to chop it off with a pair of scissors. Is that what you prefer? I could always buy a wig. Would that be acceptable? You may do whatever you like so long as you stop being so blue. Yes, miss. Boop! Finished with rebellious Miss Quincy, Miss Pope turns her eyes towards Samantha. Samantha was straggling at the rear of the group, her face her face pale and one hand on her stomach. From a distance, she almost looked like a wounded war hero limping away from the carnage of the battlefield to find an undisturbed place to die. On closer inspection, however, she looked like she truly was a foolish girl who had ingested far too much caffeine far too quickly, and now was suffering the consequences. Miss Pope, being Miss Pope, had no sympathy. Beep. I don't know why we faded to that. Ugh. Samantha making these tortured noises for past 10 minutes or so. Each small utterance that escaped her lips was invariably coupled with a gurgle from her stomach. She wasn't going to be sick, was she? She really sincerely hoped she wasn't. Not on her geography field trip in front of her class. That would be so humiliating. Roberta looked at her, half sympathetic, half smug. It seemed she had gotten over her momentary irritation on the coach, perhaps because Samantha now looked so dreadful. Are you alright? I feel like I'm going to be sick. Well, I did warn you. That was the point. It was already far too late. You look even sicker now than you did when you drank all that absinthe. Wait, what? Why were you drinking absinthe? Don't ever talk to me about absinthe. Yes. What? I learned my lesson. I really thought I was going to die back then. I even started to write out my will. Of course, that only feel more terrible when I realized how few friends I had to share an unimpressive amount of personal belongings with. How nice. It was the opposite of nice. I felt awful. Then why did you drink it? Because I'm young. I wanted to try new experiences. Broaden my horizons. Strengthen my mind. But all you strengthened was your gag reflex. Samantha wrapped her arms around her stomach even tighter and hiccuped. It was a hiccup that brought with it the strong taste of bile, sharply acidic, and she had to swallow back down with tears in her eyes. Even though she had finally made it back to her beloved countryside, she could not bring herself to enjoy her surroundings. Particularly, that was because of her stomach, but it could have been the miserable weather. Whoop! What? Fall came in quick there. It was an overcast March day, and the sky was dark and cloudy, promising rain. The wind was cold, stinging Samantha's cheek as they turned red. The ground was at a steep incline, and walking it up it was tiring. The constant thud, thud, thud of Samantha's feet as her shoes met uneven earth made her stomach gurgle more. She just had to keep going. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot... Hey! Samantha blinked, tugging anxiously at the hem of her skirt. The person standing before her was the very last person she expected to see. It was Lillian. Britta frowned, looking at Lillian such a way as disaffected medical student, bored from endless dissections, might regard a corpse. Yes? What do you want? I want the pair of you to pick up the pace. You are slowing down the rest of us down, and Miss Pope is growing impatient. That may be the case, but what authority do you have to berate us, Lillian? I have every authority. I am the head of the student council, as you should be aware, given you are the treasurer. We have attended enough meetings together that I thought you would remember, or else is my face so nondescript you forgot? No, it isn't that. The past aggressivity of these two girls was almost tangible. You could have cut it with a knife. Samantha gulped. This time it wasn't because she felt sick. Though Roberta and Lily had a great deal in common, Samantha thought so, at any rate, but she knew full well both girls would have disagreed with her. The pair had never really gotten along. Their enmity was not immediately obvious for the untrained eye, given that they were always rigidly polite, and spoke to one another, but their voices were cold, stretched taut over 70 years' worth of tension. I am surprised that you're speaking to us at all, Miss Student Council President. I thought you would have better things to do, she said, snapping her fingers. I do. How charming. I could say the same to you. You could at least be thankful for my concern. Thank you for your concern, Lillian. I suppose that's fine. Lillian looked at Samantha over a few moments, and her expression inscrutable eyes piercing. Hey. Samantha jumped as the thought had been poked with a pin. She had not expected Lillian to address her, even though she had not used her name. Given Lillian had been ignoring her poignantly for almost 3 months, it seemed rather strange she would choose to engage in the conversation right now. Despite that, Samantha attempted to keep her cool. She blinked, eyes fluttering, and tried to meet Lillian's gaze. Tired, tried, and failed. Samantha clenched her fist into her sides, trying to stop them from shaking, and spoke. Yes? What is it? You look rather unwell. Is there some kind of problem? I'm fine. Are you sure? Well, Samantha bit her lower lip. Her hands balled into fists, her sides started to tremble. Well, I thought you were ignoring me. I really did miss you. It's nothing. Don't worry. I thought you were ignoring me. I'm just a little bit surprised. Lillian's eyes raised 2 neat little arches. What do you mean? Why should you be surprised? I just thought you were supposed to be ignoring me. Don't be so melodramatic. I wasn't ignoring you. I'm not a child. Well, then what were you doing? I was just avoiding you, that's all. Oh, so that's what all it was it? Even though Samantha had a great deal of respect for Lillian, the audacity of that statement was enough to help her overcome the fluttering and nervous butterflies nesting in the pit of her stomach. You can call it whatever you want, Lillian, either avoiding or annoying, but all amounts to the same thing. No matter what you say, you have not spoken to me for almost 3 months, and that is a fact. So this has been Asphyxia. I am sure more happens. Sorry. Art style wise, I'm confused by these characters. I have no idea how old they are, but they have cell phones and they drink absinthe, so I hope they're older than they look. Story wise, Samantha's not a likable character. Maybe that's because of her mother, as implied earlier. What else? Music's fine. Hold on. Let's check this out. Samantha and Lillian are best friends, at least they were, until everything fell apart. Now Samantha has a day to repair their friendship, but is it already too late? Okay, so you spend the day trying to repair their friendship. Gotcha. Alright, so the goal is here to get the friendship back together. That's right. So yeah, if you are interested in Samantha and her friends and trying to get people back together and solving the problems of these anywhere between what looks to be 12 and 24-year-old children, Have at it. Cheers.